Venezuela is a country that, by every economic logic, should never have collapsed. Beneath its land lies the largest proven oil reserves on Earth, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, and more than the United States. For most of the 20th century, Venezuela was a symbol of prosperity in Latin America. Its capital city, Caracas, was modern, wealthy, and culturally vibrant. Venezuelans traveled abroad freely. Imported goods were affordable. Oil money shaped daily life. Yet today, Venezuela represents one of the most dramatic economic collapses in modern history. Millions of citizens have fled the country. Inflation destroyed savings and wages. Hospitals lack medicine, electricity fails. Food shortages have become normal. A nation sitting on oceans of oil is struggling to feed its own people. So what went wrong? Was it socialism that destroyed Venezuela's economy? Was corruption the real enemy? Did U.S. sanctions break the country? Or was Venezuela doomed by its dangerous dependence on oil? You're watching Worldview, a channel where we break down global power, geopolitics, and the hidden forces shaping our world. We don't just report headlines. We explain what's really happening behind them. This documentary takes you step by step through Venezuela's rise and fall, and explains why this crisis is not just Venezuela's problem, but a warning to the entire world. Venezuela. The birth of an oil superpower. Oil reshaped Venezuela's destiny in the early 20th century. When massive oil reserves were discovered, international companies rushed in, especially American firms. By the 1920s, Venezuela had become one of the world's leading oil exporters. The country transformed rapidly from a rural society into an urban, oil-driven economy. Oil revenues flooded government budgets. Roads, ports, and cities expanded. Caracas emerged as a modern capital. Venezuela gained global importance as a reliable energy supplier, particularly to the United States. But this sudden wealth came with a hidden cost. Instead of developing agriculture, industry, or technology, Venezuela structured its entire economy around oil exports. Imports replaced domestic production. Oil became not just an industry, it became the foundation of the state. As long as oil prices stayed high, the system worked. But it was fragile, exposed to global markets beyond Venezuela's control. Democracy built on oil money. For decades, Venezuela was governed by democratic institutions funded almost entirely by oil revenue. Political stability was maintained through public spending, subsidies, and social programs. Corruption existed, but oil wealth softened its impact. As long as money flowed, public anger remained manageable. This illusion collapsed in the 1980s and 1990s when global oil prices fell sharply. Economic growth slowed. Debt increased. Poverty expanded. Ordinary Venezuelans felt betrayed by political elites who controlled oil wealth but failed to protect living standards. Protests erupted. Trust in democracy collapsed. Society became polarized between elites and the poor. This political vacuum created the conditions for a radical leader promising revolution. Hugo Chávez. Power, promises, and populism. Hugo Chávez rose to power in 1999 as a symbol of rebellion. He blamed inequality on capitalism, elites, and U.S. influence. He promised to reclaim Venezuela's oil for the people. His message resonated deeply with the poor and marginalized. Chávez launched the Bolivarian Revolution, expanding state control over oil and key industries. Oil revenues were redirected into social programs, healthcare, education, and food subsidies. Initially, results looked positive. Poverty fell. Chávez gained massive popular support. But structural damage was quietly spreading. Institutions weakened. Independent oversight collapsed. Expertise was replaced with loyalty. Oil revenue was spent rapidly instead of invested. Venezuela became even more dependent on oil than before. The resource curse and economic mismanagement. Venezuela fell into what economists call the resource curse. Oil wealth discouraged diversification. Agriculture collapsed. Manufacturing disappeared. Venezuela imported most of its food and medicine. When oil prices crashed after 2014, the system collapsed instantly. To survive, the government printed money. Hyperinflation followed. Prices doubled, then tripled, then spiraled out of control. Savings vanished. Salaries became meaningless. This economic collapse began before major U.S. sanctions, proving that internal mismanagement played a central role. If this documentary is helping you understand Venezuela beyond surface-level news, Liking this video helps it reach others looking for deeper analysis. The U.S.-Venezuela power struggle. Chávez openly challenged U.S. influence and aligned with anti-U.S. governments. Washington increasingly viewed Venezuela as a destabilizing force. After Chávez's death and Argentina, Nicolas Maduro inherited an economy already collapsing. Accusations of election fraud, repression, and authoritarianism intensified. The United States responded with sanctions targeting officials, financial systems, and oil exports. Sanctions did not create Venezuela's crisis, but they accelerated it, isolating the economy and reducing access to global markets. Part 6. Maduro and the total collapse. Under Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela entered freefall. Oil production collapsed due to mismanagement. Electricity shortages became common. Crime surged. Hunger spread. More than 7 million Venezuelans fled the country, creating one of the largest migration crises in modern history. Instead of reform, the state responded with repression. Protests were crushed. Opposition leaders were jailed or exiled. Venezuela became a survival economy. China, Russia, and global geopolitics. China loaned billions, repaid with oil. Russia offered political and military backing. Venezuela became a strategic asset in a global power struggle against U.S. influence, but these alliances did not save Venezuela. Oil shipments left the country while citizens suffered. Debt deepened. Sovereignty weakened. The human cost of collapse. Behind every statistic lies a human story. Doctors performed surgeries without medicine. Parents skipped meals. Professionals sold possessions to survive. This is the real cost of collapse. Not ideology, not geopolitics, but human lives. Can Venezuela recover? Recovery is possible, but only with political reform, institutional rebuilding, economic diversification, and international cooperation. Oil alone will never be enough again. The final question: Venezuela did not collapse because it lacked resources. It collapsed because power was abused, institutions were destroyed, and oil was treated as an endless shortcut instead of a responsibility. This is not just Venezuela's story. It is a warning to every resource-rich nation on Earth. So here's the real question. Was Venezuela destroyed more by foreign pressure and sanctions, or by its own leadership and decisions? And could the same fate await other oil-rich countries today? If you want more deep, unbiased geopolitical documentaries like this, subscribe to Worldview, like this video, share it, and join the discussion in the comments.